Say hi, Judy.
Hi, Judy.
Say hi, Ed.
Hi, Ed.
Oh, wait. Yeah, I wish I was. That would make things a lot easier. You know, hi.
Or hard.
Your Highness, or heart, yeah.
Depending on your high, I guess.
Oh, wow, we just filmed this crazy-ass little intro. And it's really funny, but electronics are much more funny than the show, even. So anyway, welcome to San Antonio Musicians Talk Show Network. I'm Ed Ocampo, naturally, and we have Miss Judy Blue, who's going to be at our concert December 22nd at Breckenridge Cater Pavilion all day long from about 11 to 7. Tamales, rice and beans, the plate, $10. Anything over $10 gets you a gift for Christmas. Isn't that cool?
That's pretty cool.
You might could get glasses like this. You might could. Maybe a pendant. Some bling bling. Really nice. Nice
Judy
gifts.
Blue's band, Koozie.
Bring it. Yes, the koozies will have them there. Make sure you're talking to that mic, darling. I want to make sure we get every single word.
Yes,
Now,
sir.
Miss Judy Blue, now she's going to be along with Trejo, Lacey Love, Ed Ocampo, myself, Stone, and believe it or not, Jimmy Spacek is looking into wanting to come out. They're trying to clean up their, or clear up their dates. You know how it is. And also Benny Hart. Yay. Looking to talk to him real soon. Shout out to good friends like Trish that are put together this thing along with me. Miss Lisa. Yeah, good friend from high school. We're having to get all these credits real quick. Ray. Got Dennis. Really fabulous guy that I met, and he's been helping out tremendously. And so without further ado, I now bring you Miss Judy Blue. How about that? That was pretty poetic, huh?
Of course.
Judy and Judy Blue.
That's right.
She's got a sore throat today. She's been rehearsing last night for this gig, and a lot of other gigs that she's got ready. But I do want to say this, all military is welcome. You know, you guys are without a home, or some of you guys that are without a home, come on over and get with us. December 22nd at Breckenridge Park, the center of the city. And it's coming under some drastic change, so you want to make it there now and enjoy it while you can. So anyway, for San Antonio Musicians Talk Show Network, Miss Judy Blue.
Thank you.
I wish I had more sound effects. Anywho, Miss Judy, we were talking the other day, and well, actually, it took us 2 one-hour visits to get a lot of stuff out. So I don't know how we're going to do this, but I want to ask you, where were you born, and where did you get the first inclination you were going to do music?
I was born in East LA, believe that or not.
Well, I believe it. East LA, and for how long were you there? Because we're going to get into something here. We're going to get into some stuff.
I didn't live there long. My mother grew up in that area, but my father was in World War II, and so she kind of followed him around after he came home. We settled in the Santa Cruz Mountains because that's where I grew up, actually.
Well, Judy Brothers love Santa Cruz Mountains.
Yes, they do.
You know?
Yes, they
They're
do.
all about them.
But I was there first.
Okay, good enough, good enough. But listen, so what age were you when you decided to be a singer? And why did you choose blues? Or were you always a blues artist?
I didn't ever decide to be a singer, I just was one. As long as I can remember, I sang my way through everything.
So was it something like, well, did your parents have any influence on music?
My father especially had a big influence on me because when I was quite young, my parents divorced and he came back to Texas, which is where he was from. And when I would visit him, he lived in Fort Worth, which was, Tarrant County was a dry county at that time.
That's sad.
And so he would take me to the juke joints on the west side of town.
That's good.
And he took me to see, when I was a little kid, he took me to see Howlin' Wolf and Muddy Waters and Ray Sharp and anything you anybody that was on that circuit, which
So-
was all the big guys that were not big yet.
So he wasn't a musician. Your dad was not a musician, but he was a lover of music.
Well, he pounded on the piano and he played guitar, but he was never professional. Grady just did it because he loved it.
Same here. True. So,
My mom, on the other hand, always said, stop singing. Why do you keep singing? You have to stop singing. You know, all day long, or in the store, or wherever we happen to be, and I'd say, I can't.
you
I
couldn't
remember
stop.
saying, I can't.
Wow.
Everything to me translated into music.
Wow. Well, that's incredible. I mean, I guess I lived a similar life, but all of my uncles and all of my aunts were singers and guitar players and everything else. So, I mean, I was born into it. It wasn't like a choice. It was just there, you know. And I gravitated to it. The Beatles kind of kicked it off. But we were talking about some of the greats that you grew up with in LA. Janis Joplin, Jimi Hendrix, a lot of different cats of which, you know, Starship, which we were only listening to.
Let me correct you. It wasn't in LA. I was living in the Haight when I met all
Well,
this.
see, this is even better. Because
Yeah.
Haight-Ashbury was where the counterculture actually happened, where the
Yes.
British were coming over, our guys were playing up to the British, and that union is known as the counterculture of that time.
Exactly.
Judy lived through it. Now, Judy, what can you tell me about the counterculture of which I wrote a essay and made an A on it in English over at San Antonio College? I am a graduate, thank you very much.
Well, it was early on when I was there, and that's where I met many people who were later famous. For example, Country Joe. I went to his wedding. We were very good friends.
Give me an F.
Yes, that was before the fight.
Give me a U. Woodstock, baby, Woodstock, okay.
And I've seen him
That's a
several
joke, man, I love
times over the years. Not in the last 15 or 20 years is the last time I saw him in San Diego, and I happened to be over there visiting, and he was playing, and I saw it, so I just went, and I knew how I hadn't seen him in a while, long time, and he would always put on a San Francisco Giants jacket and hat, ball cap hat.
Wow.
And then he'd walk through the crowd while the warm-up band was playing. So he'd get the feel of the crowd. So when he got up there, he could give it his best. And so I was standing there kind of looking around for him because I knew he was going to be out there. And he approached me from behind and he saw me and said, "Where the hell have you been?" And I said, "Well, you know, I'm living in San Diego now and in Texas." And he said, "Well, when are you coming home?" Meaning San Francisco. And I said, I'm done with that. You know, I'm living now in Texas. And it was the last time I saw him, but the people in the city at that time, especially in the Haight, were a family. We had similar goals, similar likes. It was truly peace, love, and music. That's the way it was.
You know, I bought into the whole thing, honey. I bought into the whole thing. Peace, love, free love. Peace, love, drugs, tune in, turn on, drop out. Yes, I did. Wrong, but we did. A lot of us, and those artists, a lot of those guys died.
When I lived there, when the Haight was not popular yet,
Yeah.
there was smoke and there was psychedelics.
Right.
But
And they had
no
stuff
hardcore
like that.
drugs whatsoever.
Yeah. When
I
the
didn't
heck
know
did that
anybody
start?
that was on
When
that.
did that start? And why
Well,
did those
it
guys-
happened because it was such a beautiful movement and such a great thing that the story spread. And when you heard about Haight-Ashbury on the East Coast, that meant runaways, you know, kids, 14, 15 years old would run away. I'm going to Haight to be a hippie. And not knowing, you know, I mean, San Francisco's a big town, but the whole area in the Haight, which is right next to Golden Gate Park, it was beautiful. And you could walk down the street and everybody was smiling and greeting you, and whether they knew you or not, that sort of thing. It was truly one of those moments in time that can't last.
No,
And when all the runaways got there and everything, that drew the predators to
Well,
come after
how
them.
about-
And then that drew the hardcore drugs and so on.
We talked
And-
about Grateful Dead.
Yeah.
And they had a commune, basically. Everywhere they lived,
Yeah.
they would have hundreds, 50 people pitching in to live there.
Yes.
You know, and they do their drugs naturally, and they were keeping their peace,
It
doing their
was
own thing.
mostly, like I said, it was
Just
smoke
smoke.
and
Yeah.
psychedelics.
It wasn't the heavy stuff. That came on later.
Yes.
And that came on through their touring. And that happens, unfortunate but true. That's why I don't tour. I can hardly walk, let alone tour. Anyway, you know, there's something about this counterculture. I mean, I literally in San Antonio off Linwood and Blanco could feel the groove. I could feel the high and the love and all that.
And that's
kind of
why
space.
everybody started going there and it got ruined.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think you're right because a lot of my friends went, they came back totally doped up and out of their minds and ended up dead.
Yeah.
You know, so it was a time where you talk, you can't duplicate it, it'll never happen again. But when you kids stop and think about how freaky your parents are, consider that we got turned on to this nonsense, and I'm so sorry, but it happened, okay? Your parents are not at fault for growing up at a weird time, just like you guys aren't at fault for being born into the computer age.
Well, there are two major contributions to
Come on
the
now.
drug problems.
Come on now.
The first was the popularity, as I said,
Sure.
and the predators that came with it.
Yeah.
The second was the Vietnam War.
Yes.
It was terrible.
I was dead set against it.
There were young men going over there, mostly men at that time, boys.
Yes, dying.
My two brothers, younger than me, they both went on their 18th birthdays, one after the other. They've been playing G.I. Joe all their lives and having a good time and thinking it was romantic and exciting. And they get there and people are burning and killing and maiming and
Gassy.
horrible things, and they were all being turned on to hard drugs at the same
And
time.
who in the hell can
Many
blame
of them came home addicted.
But who can blame them? You know, I would probably done the same damn thing to escape what I was going through.
I'm not blaming them. What I'm
Yeah,
saying
no, I know
is that's
that.
what
I know.
happened to many of them.
Yes.
They were completely innocent.
Right.
They had never even been, everybody heard about heroin addicts that laid around the streets of New York City, which isn't exactly the truth, but, you know, from the West Coast perspective, that was the way drugs were.
Well, it happened.
My younger brother came home horribly addicted to amphetamines and cocaine. And he only lasted a couple years and committed suicide because he couldn't live with the travesty of life there. And he had a lovely wife and two small children, and they had to grow up without him. And to never know what an exciting person he was as a young man.
Well, it's very
And
sad.
so I was one of those people that stood on the Golden Gate Bridge and I protested that war. Not the soldiers, but the war.
You know,
I didn't see a reason for us to always be incessantly at war. I watched what it did to my father, I watched what it did to my brothers.
Well,
It's a
anyway.
bad thing. So
Well,
I'm
we're trying
still
to-
peace and love,
Yeah,
sorry.
and really what we're trying to say here is that that's what we were born into, guys. I don't
Yeah.
think any of you young people that are listening to the show right now could ever say that you could handle that kind of thing. We didn't know what to do. We just hung on for dear life. We thought the world was going to come to an end there for a while. When we were born, they were telling us to get underneath your desk
Yes, at school.
and put your head down and cover yourself with another person's body. Oh my God, in case the H-bomb was dropped. That's what we were born into, guys. So don't trip about your computer stuff. That's a piece of cake.
Yeah.
We really had to deal with life at a young age, and it's no wonder we're all traumatized for it. I'm just saying, right?
I agree.
So enough about the sad stuff. This is a comedy talk show. We're definitely going to lighten up the mood here. I wanted to talk about, did you say you had talked to Janice, or who was it, Jimmy, or both of them?
We all talked, everybody talked to everybody. Remember, I told you I went to high school with Larry Graham, who was ultimately the bass player for Sly and the Family Stone, and went on to do very many big things. He and I talked about music incessantly whenever we were around each other.
Now he actually owned a bar, and he booked you.
His mother was a lounge singer, a piano player singer. And so at early age, teenage, he was playing in bars, and the guy was incredible. The story about him inventing that slap bass unique sound that he did was something he told me in 1961 about how their drummer didn't show up, so he had to be the drummer and the bass player. You can't make stuff like that up.
No.
He was a great guy. I'm sorry that we lost each other because we didn't have ways to keep in touch like you do now. Nobody had cell phones or email or any of that sort of thing.
That had to have been pretty tough.
Oh yeah.
You had to do face to face.
Yeah.
But he actually had to come in and play at his club, did he not?
He was around for a long time, and we used to listen to KSLL in Oakland. That was a soul station at lunchtime from high school, and Sly Stone was the premier disc jockey on that show, and he would always say, "I'm going to start my own band." And so a couple of years after we graduated from high school, I got married the guy I went to the prom with, and started my family. And Larry called me one day at home, and he said, "You don't know how hard it's been to find you because your name is wrong. It's not what I knew you as." But I finally saw somebody. It was Judy Blue, but I wasn't listed in the phone book as Judy Blue.
Okay.
I had a French last name when I was in high school, and he knew that. He didn't know the name of the guy I married, so he didn't know my name. And so, but he knew Judy Blue, yes.
Okay.
And so he said, "I'm in this new band, and I want you to come see him. Can you come?" I said, "Okay, I got it." I had 2 little babies then, so I got a babysitter. My husband was working nights. I went over to this club that he told me, got there a few minutes late. I get in there, and he's standing on this big stage with Sly and the band, and he's looking around. I knew he was looking for me. I raised my hand so he could see where I was, and he grinned at me. He looked at Sly, gave him a nod, and they started dance to the music. I had never heard him play that. I had never heard anybody play that. I died and went to heaven that night. It was the best band. Oh my God, they were so great.
Boom, shakalaka, boom, shakalaka.
They were great. And it was very different from the stuff I was listening to.
Sure.
Because we've been listening to folk, we've been listening to early rock, past the doo-wop stage and everything, and then here was Sly taking the Temptations and those guys and taking it to a whole new level. Oh my God, it was wonderful. It was just
definitely took this high.
Yeah. You couldn't not dance. You couldn't not dance. It was just wonderful.
It was, I think, the hit of Woodstock, personally. I mean, when I saw the
movie
Woodstock.
Carlos.
Oh yeah, he and Carlos Santana, absolutely. They were, I think, outstanding.
And Cosby Stills, and that was our first time.
All of the guys, Sebastian, all of the guys, they were just fabulous. It'll never happen again, guys. Yeah. Not that kind of peace and love can you get anywhere else, but in New York, LA, the counterculture, all that group. With all that said, Judy, let's fast forward to present day. Roger, when did you marry Raj? How long have you been married?
Roger and I've been married almost 12 years.
Shout out to Roger.
Roger Obegon.
Almost 12.
He's a homeboy here. He's been playing music in this town nearly 60 years.
So when did you get to San Antonio? When did y'all meet?
I moved to San Antonio in '96. I began looking into the music scene. My very first foray was they had that reader type magazine where you could see who was playing places. I didn't know anybody. So I thought, well, I'll just look and see what sounds interesting. I opened it up. Casa Tamales, I think it's called, over there by the the Dominion.
We're having tamales on December 22nd, yes.
Yes, we are. And there was a band there called the Bob Bass Blues Band.
Oh, by the way, I gotta say this. I'm so sorry, Judy. We're listening to Ian Moore in the background. Just in case you can hear him and you're hearing some blues going down, that's Ian Moore, one of my favorites from Austin, Texas. Support this guy. Okay, I'm sorry, anybody. Blues.
So I see in the paper, the Bob Bass Blues Band is playing there, and I happened to know where it was. I hadn't lived here very long.
Bob Bass?
Bob Bass Blues Band. Woo-hoo. So I thought, how bad can it be, right?
Yeah,
it's a blues band. So I drive over there. I get all cutered up and everything, all by myself. I go over there and sit down. And Bob Bass had
killed it.
David Meisner playing bass. I mean, it doesn't get a lot better than that. Bobby Finnicle, one of the all-time greatest guitar players I have ever personally played with, was playing with him. Clay, I think, was the drummer. And Bob Bass was bouncing around like a crazy man. And it was a wonderful show. And I had gone through a serious trauma at that time in my life.
I'm traumatized right now.
And so the music brought me back alive.
Wow. And
so I started looking around. The first friend I met in the music community was Frank Macias. Wonderful, wonderful talent. Very intelligent man. He took me under his wing and introduced me to everybody. Told me where to go, who to hear, invited me to sing with him. I told him I didn't sing anymore because I'd had cancer in my throat and I had a very scratchy. They expected me not to speak again if I lived through it. That's what they told me at Stanford. But being armored like I am, I said I had things to do, and I did.
Yeah.
So when I first sang with Frank, I didn't sound so good, and I was, it was crusty. So I stuck with the blues because of it, because you can get away with that then. But I never got back to 4 strong octaves, but I got 2 of them back, so I'm still going strong.
Wonderful. I'm out of breath just listening to you, man. That's incredible. You've lived about 3 different lifetimes, to my one. But yeah, you supported blues so much. You can go out on Monday nights and support Ruben Ramirez's Monday Night Jams over at Fitzgerald's.
Yes.
A shout out to Sharon Perkins, dear friend of ours, and we love you all, and we thank you so much for everything you're doing in the community. But don't try to outshine my show. Thank you. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just joking. Go ahead and laugh. It's okay. I want them to hear you. Anyway.
I'm a smiler and a laugher.
What's that?
I'm a smiler and a laugher. I'm a happy person.
Well, how come I haven't heard you laugh yet?
Well,
that's what the show's all about. They want to hear you
because my throat's sore.
Oh, that's why.
Yeah.
Geez, I'm laughing tonight for both of us, I guess.
Okay.
All right.
I don't mind being laughed at or with.
Good for you. Hey, listen, let's move on to something that I have coined on this show. It's called Most Memorable Silly Moments. And I was going to tell you mine, but I stopped. So, what I'm going to do, just to give you a heads up, I'm going to go first. Okay?
Okay.
All right? Just to give you time to think about something freaky that
I know
happened.
my best one.
Good. Now, this is what happened to me the other day. I was shopping at Goodwill. I was shopping at Goodwill, and I was buying this cart and an Igloo ice chest. Really affordable. You gotta go check it out. And so, the lady, rather large lady, she gives me the amount, and I get my card, and I put my card in there real quick, and I said, okay, here you go. And then she goes, wait, you put it in too fast. And I said, okay. So I took it out, and I said, do you want me to put it in slower? And then right about that time she says, well, you put it in too fast. That was a problem to begin with. And then she starts laughing, and then I go, oh, I get it. I mean, she was more funny than I was. And then the whole line was standing there listening to the whole thing. And they went berserk too. And
so you put it in too fast, and the public saw it happen.
Yeah, and then there was a mess. It gets messy when you put it in too fast. That's the problem. That's what I experienced, and the whole line did too. But after they broke out in laughter, they went like this.
All those funniest moments have sexual overtones. Mine does too.
No way.
When we lived in the Haight, there wasn't a lot of money. There was a giant movie theater right on Haight Street. They had them all over California because they did a lot of premieres in the major cities from the 30s. And so this was a giant one that someone had taken over and taken all the seats out and put the seats around. It was giant. It had a beautiful stage, a big stage, and it had an orchestra pit, and it had a sound system to die for. So what they did is they were open every night. It cost you $1 to get in, and whoever played just played that wanted to play. And there's all these heavyweights there. The Chambers Brothers lived down the street from me. They played there.
Oh my God.
The Airplane would go there and try out new songs.
Jefferson Airplane. The Starship.
Jefferson Airplane, yeah. It was Jefferson Airplane then, not Starship.
Yeah.
Then
the word commercial.
Yeah, well, and also changed a few people.
Yeah, true that. True that.
Always, the Grateful Dead people were in there. Just many people that you wouldn't recognize now. Country Joe was there quite often. Judy Blue was there all the time too. And I had a little trio like I do now.
Did I miss the most memorable city moment?
No.
We're leading up to it.
So we went in there one night to play. It was a Tuesday night. I remember that very well. And
is it Tuesday today? No, it's Wednesday.
No, it's Wednesday.
I'm sorry, I'm losing dates.
But we went in there to play, and they had various snacks in a big bowl on the end of the stage for anyone to indulge that cared to.
A big bowl
of snacks, yeah.
Snacks.
Little round, pill-looking snacks. And so
gifts.
There was a band playing when I got there. I don't remember who. And I was leaning against the wall because the acoustics were so good in there. They hadn't put seating around the walls from the theater, but that's all. Mostly it was stand up in there. And I was leaning against the wall because it vibrated my heart when the music played.
Oh.
And well, it was loud. It was very loud. We weren't worried about anybody's hearing. And the band came down, and we were going to go up next, and they would play the latest. There was a lot of disc jockeys involved, and so we had music in there that wasn't released yet.
Okay.
And the Beatles came on, and it was The Fog Above L.A. We never heard it. They had some demo copy of it, and so I would hurry up and leaned against the wall so it would vibrate my heart because it was so exciting. That's the kind of thing that we were turned on to all the time. So I get up on the stage now, and we're getting ready to play, and you look down, there's just a sea of faces, and they're all looking up, loving the music, no matter who you are, whether they know you or don't.
Yeah, that was the fun part about playing back then.
Oh yeah, that's why you did it. Why you did it. And so, and they would pay you $5 a man too, you know.
That's more than
if you played an hour.
That's more than we make now, guys. Help us out to 22nd Canada Pavilion.
So we started playing something, and I was wearing. We all wore these little dresses at the time that were like mid-thigh, let's say, you know, and that sort of thing.
The mini.
And
I love those things.
And I was playing my tambourine, and I was banging on my leg, and I had this little thing that I did where I bang on my leg and throw my arm up over my head and twirl it on my finger because it had a hole, and then get back down in time to bang it, you know, in time. So we were in the middle of some song, which I blocked out of my brain forever probably, and
she was I
hit this thing on my leg, and it caught on my dress, but I didn't know it, and I threw it up over my head and twirled it. And I was standing on a stage that's like 5 feet up off the ground, so everybody got a real good look at my boobs. Of course, I didn't own a bra. Well, I didn't own a bra. No one.
Well, I missed the bottom part, man.
Yeah, I was pretty excited. At least I had
underneath.
I was wearing underpants, thank God. But I did that, pulled up my dress and went, oh! And everybody started applauding. But that was one of my most embarrassing moments.
Wow.
There had to be 300 or 400 people in there, easy.
You know, that kind of rivals Paul Candera, you know, jumping naked over my buddy boy drummer, Urban Urbano. He jumped over nude, jumped over Urban Urbano's head at a dare to be naked playing the guitar. When he jumped over Urban Urbano, Urban says he got a good look at them 2 big old heifers hanging down. and these 2 girls caught him on stage. And I couldn't help but say, yeah, they got one apiece.
Well, Paul Candera and Urban have slowed down a little bit, but not a lot. Not a lot. Those two.
Then they took over the show, man. Well, y'all gotta watch that segment. Y'all gotta watch this segment. They take over, Paul takes over, and both he and Urban just have at it, man. And I think we went on for about an hour and a half. And this is only a 30-minute show.
Yeah.
Yeah, Fat Champ.
Well, Urban's got some really exciting stories. I saw him last week, and we were making plans, you know, for getting together.
Well, you know, we're losing a lot of people, Judy. You know, and it's not something we like to talk about, okay? But it's reality. And one of the main reasons I did this show for December 22nd at Brackenridge Park is because we are losing so many. And I want just one day that we can make a memory as opposed to be a memory. I've been saying that to my dear friends lately, and I think it just makes a lot of sense, right?
Yeah, that's a good idea.
We need to just get together and say hi. Bill Casey's going to be there. Maureen's going to be there, I hope. I hope all of you all. This is a grassroots thing. We're not the most popular people on the freaking planet, guys. I'm not. I can guarantee you that. Okay, people hate my ass. That's okay. Because I love everybody.
I have said many times that the music community here in San Antonio is far and above any I've ever seen since the hate. Because it's a family, it's a community. And I was welcomed 100% when I came here. They all balked because I was born in LA. I said, yeah, but my father's 7th generation Texas from Fort Worth. I've had a foot in both states my whole life.
Bingo.
And so they decided I was okay. But I can tell you, the business is so backbiting and terrible so many places. And I'm just not into that. I love other girl singers. I love musicians. I really encourage anyone that I meet that's trying to break in or comes to town new and doesn't know anybody. I can honestly tell you that I know several people that are doing well in the business right now, and I've known them since they were teenagers.
Yeah.
Well engaged.
Will, you look at him, he's a fabulous guy. He was always a great guitar player, but now he's burning up those strings.
And when I met him, he was a young guy, too young to get in to the clubs. So I know his father, too, because his father had to take him. He was a little overweight and extremely shy. He played with his back to the audience. I talked to him about that quite a bit.
Are we talking about Will?
Well engaged, that's right. When I first met him.
He's a handsome-looking young stud now.
Oh yeah, he's a dog.
What you talking about, Willis?
And he's a very, very nice guy.
He's a sweetheart of a guy.
Yes, he is.
He's a great guy. We spent some time in Austin together. Both me and Ernie Durawa from the Texas Tornadoes. Another dear friend. All on account of this show, man, has brought me to get to know these guys even better than I had previously. I'm learning things that I never knew.
Well, since I met Frank Macias, who was a big player in the community, I met a lot of people. And due to him, I sang for a while with the Rhythm Kings, which is Henry and Henry
I did
Pettis.
not know that. Shout
Well,
out to Henry.
yes, and
And
his
the
brother.
Unknown Soldiers,
And his
who would
brother.
have liked to play this show, by the way. Unknown Soldiers wanted to play.
The Unknown Soldiers, I'm playing with them Sunday the 8th.
Yeah.
At the
Well, you
New
might have to
Derby
bring the
Club,
band with
the
all these
Unknown Soldiers,
cancellations
and
that
then
are
the Judy Blues Band, and then the Rhythm Kings, and then Joey Fender.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna be a great show.
Oh,
And-
fabulous.
But,
What about December 22nd?
well, then my next one after that is December
It's a
22nd,
cheesy
which
show
we already
every
talked
week.
about.
And now you've hit an all-time low in your career. You're on my show.
Oh, no, I was on your show before.
Well,
but
that's
it
true.
was-
10 years ago, from the
Yeah.
Mine Shaft, guys. Shout out
right.
to the Mine Shaft. Everybody at Magic Time Machine. We're going to be doing remotes. This is going to be going out just like we did at the Cove. Live audience, guys. So we're going to ask you to come on out, support the venue, support the talk show, and get to know us a little better. And then you'll also hear a jam shortly thereafter. So it's a half talk, play later. Well, we're going to do that.
Well, I think how I got to be known as well as I am now in San Antonio is because I did sing with the West Side Horns for nearly 5 years, and Sauce was very instrumental in making sure that I was at the forefront, and he always would call me and say he wanted me to play with him, and Spot Barnett, you know, a lot of Al Gomez.
Algo, sure. You know, there was another half to that. That was Henry. You know, that was there were two West Side Horns guys. I'm so sorry. One of the West Side Horns asked me to book them, and to be favor to both sides, I said no, because I couldn't book one over the other. I didn't know where Al was. Al and I graduated from Edison High School together. Shout out to Edison Bears. Man, please support this thing December 22nd. I'm asking you guys where I graduated from. Barely a bear. I could barely write, could barely talk, could barely see now, but I'm still an Edison Bear. 1976, so show up, will you? December 22nd, Brackners. Am I burning that up?
And it'll be a really good show.
It's going to be a good show.
We
It's great
rehearsed yesterday
tamales.
for 5 hours.
Now listen, that also brings me to Tea's Tamales, sponsoring this event in conjunction with San Antonio Musicians Talk Show Network. They were #1 tamale factory here in the lovely city of San Antonio, 20 and 22, upwards to present day. They're barbacoa, oh my God, all meat, oh man, delicious, delicious. No grease, just so beautiful to eat. That's where weekends come, and tamales are at the dinner table every weekend. So they're helping us, sponsoring us. Come on out and get a plate for $10. Anything over $10 gets you a Christmas gift. So what do you think about that?
I think that's pretty good. And speaking of barbacoa,
Yeah?
the Barbacoa Blues is my most requested song. I learned it from Ernie Gottabai.
Ernie was on the
He
show.
was a very good friend of mine.
I have
And he
him on
was
tape.
already quite ill by the time I
Yeah,
got here, so
yeah.
I never got to meet him.
Oh,
But I
he was
wrote
on my show 10 years ago.
Well, I wrote the alternative lyrics to it as a joke for Ernie one time.
Oh,
you
my
know,
God.
because everybody knows I run jams at my house occasionally for my friends.
She gets more people to come out to her house jams than most people get at gigs.
Oh, there were 100 people at my birthday last night.
And I missed it. I was, we'll
but
talk in a minute.
But Ernie, I changed up the lyrics because it's a very clever song about not barbacoa, and so I
like
changed
that.
it out from a woman's viewpoint and sang it to him, and he just loved it. He said, "Oh, Randy would have loved that. He just really would have." And as if you know Ernie, he always closed his shows with that song as a tribute to his brother. And one time I
He
was
says
with
that on
him.
the show.
Yeah.
He talks about that. If I'm
Yes.
not mistaken, he
And-
came really close.
Well, one time he was playing Post 76, invited me to come out and sit in with him, and I went there.
Shout out to all the veterans, man.
And he he was quite ill by then. It was towards the end.
Yeah.
And he passed out on stage, and they called the ambulance, and they got ready to haul him off, and there was still a whole nother set to go. And he grabbed me by the arm as the paramedics are trying to get him in, and he said, you sing it, you sing it. I don't want my show to close without it. Nobody had heard me sing it. And Nando said, okay, what's he asking you to sing? I said, Barbacoa. He said, oh, okay. So Nando, not knowing that I had changed it up a little, gets to the end and he says, we're going to have Miss Judy Blue sing the Barbacoa Blues. Okay, you got to realize, post 76, there to see Ernie Garibay?
Yeah, they're there to see
500 Mexicans and me. Okay. And they all knew who I was.
There's only one
but
there.
He didn't, but you know, but here I am going to sing this iconic song. You know that hip shot thing that Mexican mamas do when they're kind of mad at their kids?
No.
Oh yeah, you
Child abuse? Yes.
Okay, so they all started doing it and looking at me. And so I just went for it. Nando says, just go for it. Okay, by the time I got to the second verse and they realized they'd been changed up a little bit, they were smiling and clapping. By the time I finished the last line in the song, which is the big tickler, and you have to see me sing it if you want to know what it is, they were jumping up and down and screaming. And that's why I have a bigger following on the west side than a whole lot of other people. And especially the women.
All right, well then you are, on the west side, you were probably well known as Judy Azul.
Don't call me Judy Blue.
Judy Blue, yeah. Well, they're crazy about you, I know they are. And there's a lot of folks that are, so we're just tickled pink to have you. You're known as a great jam band because you have a lot of guys that know your stuff. You allow them to come up and play every so often. This show's going to be all yours. And you never know, we're going to ad-lib. Just have a great day out there, regardless of whether or not it's cold or warm or rainy or whatever. If it gets too cold, we're just going to huddle towards the fireplace. And it's a covered facility, and bathrooms are there. So everything is...
We'll play rain or shine.
Yes, we're just going to have a fun time in the mighty name of Jesus. And on behalf of Christmas and all of our friends that have gone before us, we're there to say, go out and go do something good for somebody, because we need to change everybody's life as it stands. So that's what we're trying to do, just one day at a time. So I need to ask you quick shout-outs to the people you love. You have some shout-outs you want to mention real quick?
Well, I want to thank my band for sticking with me because I've been sick for almost a year and didn't book much. And I'm only starting to do it now. Bob Bass, who plays lead guitar, when he told me he was really only a rhythm guitar, he's one hell of a player. And plays harmonica too. And he plays it so well, when we do certain ZZ Top songs, he does a harmonica part, nobody even notices there's not a guitar going.
So
my drummer, who is Roberto Lujan, played Tejano for 40 years, got started touring, and spoke to our mutual friend Ruben Ramirez, he said, I'm going to quit playing drums, I'm just done, I don't want to do this anymore, I'm sick of playing that, and I want to do something different. He said, well, what kind of music do you want to play? You can't just quit. He said, well, I've always been interested in the blues, but I don't really know any of it or anything. He said, I'm going to hook you up with Judy Blue, because she knows the blues community, and she'll help you out and find somebody. So he called me up, and I invited him over to my rehearsal, and we were actually looking for a drummer, but I didn't consider him because Tejano is very different than what we're playing.
Yes.
And my borrowed drummer that would come to rehearsal for me got called away, and so we didn't have a drummer that day. So we were going over arrangements, and he came in, and he had asked me 3 days before, will you send me a list of songs you're working on so that I can listen to them and I'll know what I'm listening for. I said, sure. I said, these are the 8 songs we're working on. And so he came, he showed up, and he brought sticks. And I had a drum set sitting there, and he said, could I play along with you a little bit?
Now, who are we talking about?
Roberto Lujan.
Oh, Lujan now. Here,
Now,
I'm sorry.
I didn't ever meet him before. He was meeting us all for the first time. He knew all 8 of the songs, which he had never heard before.
Well, for a drummer, that's easy, man.
No, it's not easy.
It is
No, it isn't, especially when you've been playing one genre
Yeah,
most of your life.
No, I understand what you're saying. But you know, even though you're stuck,
He killed it.
even though you may be stuck in a particular genre, drummers, we're timekeepers. We play everything. We don't go around telling everybody we do, but we do. I play jazz, funk, rock, disco, everything. Everything you hear on the radio, I can play. Many of us have this tape recording in our head. We hear the song, and our arms just do what is on the tape. It's really difficult to even explain, but it happens to me all the time. Walfredo Reyes of Chicago said the very same thing. Sometimes he gets so busy that he just sees his arms going around all over the place, and he's just on automatic pilot.
He's not running it, the beat is running him.
Yeah, and that's how I feel a lot of
Well,
times.
Lujan was an instant fit for us. We've been together as a Judy Blues band with him now for over 3 years. He was an instant fit. We're like a little family anyway.
man.
And he
Tejano, man.
well, yeah, he finished it
awesome.
up.
They're
He
awesome.
said he didn't drink anymore.
But he does now.
And no, he didn't drink at all. He went to AA almost 40 years ago, and his sponsor, you may have heard of him, Randy Gallivai. I said,
It's all in the family, man.
okay, yeah, I mean, that's just the way it
Well,
is.
listen, I have to do a quick shout out, and that would be to my lovely family, Ed Ocampo Jr. and Eddie the Third, who actually has picked up, and Johnny, and Gigi, and Miss Biz. Now, Eddie the Third has picked up the saxophone, and you know, he's a player, man. He'll stand there in the corner with another saxophonist and belt out these things that he plays. And I'm just so tickled pink that I gave him a guitar. I gave all of them a guitar, I think, and gave my son a $12,000 Unibox. You don't see those anymore. But anyway, I love those guys, and to hear and see my consentido, the loved one in my family, Ed Ocampo, the third, playing saxophone, no less. Man, I need to jam with that boy. I want to
Bring him
jam
out to
with
the,
my
on the
family.
22nd.
Yeah, I'm inviting him. I don't know. They live out of town now.
How old
They'll be
is
able to
he?
make it. He's 3 years old.
That would be fun. That would be really fun.
He is not 3. He's about junior in high school. Yeah, so he wouldn't be able to play the sax if he was 3.
Well, little sax, you'd be surprised, kids just adapt.
Oh, that's true. That's true. But I was lying. He's a junior in high school. I think. He wants to be president one day.
Ed Ocampo just verified that he was lying. I wanted to mention it.
True that.
No, but have him come out, because, that would be fun.
I'm hoping, but it's just that they have their own minds nowadays. I mean, everybody does. So, with all that said, burning desire. One last burning desire on the show. Do you have anything to say? Anything? Last burning desire?
What? No.
Anything? It's your show.
You can ask me anything and I'll answer, but one of the things about when I lived in the Haiti especially, and I met so many people that you would recognize if I said all their names, people don't tend to believe you because it's easy to name drop.
Oh, I believe
So
you.
now let me tell you this. I told Roger, because I was, going to marry him, many stories that I don't tell in public, for example. And
Like the one in your tambourine?
no, I don't mind telling that in public. That's old history. But we were flying to Hawaii to get married, just the 2 of us. We decided we weren't going to do a big deal, just go to Hawaii, what was romantic and nice and quiet. And we got married there. And then that was on the island of Kauai. Then we flew to Maui, where I have a very good old friend. And he wanted to meet this man and make sure that I married the right person. And because he knew my drummer husband, the father of my children also. So we flew to Maui. He picked us up at the airport. He said, I got you a wedding present. I said, why would you do that? We've been friends 50 years, you know. He said, oh, well, he said, I'm part of it. He said, there's somebody in town I think you'll like, and I bought tickets for all three of us to go. I said, okay, who is it? He said, oh, I think you'll recognize him, and he didn't tell me. So we get up there, and Hawaii does things different. There wasn't a big marquee with anybody's name or anything. And we go inside, and I see this old man with gray hair up on the stage, and I'm looking at him, and he starts singing, and I went, wow, I know who that is. Right away I knew who he was, but by looking at him I didn't, because I had met him more than 50 years before, and he didn't look like that at all. I wouldn't have known him on the street unless he was singing or playing, and it was John Mayall. And I spent a glorious couple of weeks with him back in the day when he came over from Europe to play, and he didn't know anybody, and he was kind of lost, and my then partner, my guitar player, and I met him and made friends with him, and I invited him to go to a house party that I knew about. And I said, you'll meet a lot of people to make connections, you'll enjoy it, you know. And my partner couldn't go, and I had a pass basically, because it was going to be a big deal party. The rumor was it was a very special brand new band that nobody knew who they were yet that was going to play this house party, and it was on a houseboat in the bay. So we went out there. Well, this very new band that I didn't know who they were either was they were it was incredible. It was just incredible.
Well, who were they?
Just wait a minute. They had all this really high-tech lighting, strobe lights while they were playing. It was Vanilla Fudge. And so they were playing outrageous version, you know, of Set Me Free, Why Don't You Babe? I mean, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And of course, John Mayall was in heaven, you know, he was going, wow. And so we spent that time together, and I didn't see him ever again after that. It was really cool. But I had told Roger about that incident. And I think Roger kind of thought I was just blowing smoke or something. So I just shut up. I stopped talking about it, you know. And we walked out, and I wasn't going to speak to him. I mean, it was 50 years ago, you know. And he was signing autographs on CDs. And as I walked by him, I was looking at him, and he looked up and saw me and smiled. So I smiled back, because I smile at everybody. I'm a smiling fool. And he pointed at me. He said, stop. And he looked at me for about 20 seconds. He said, Judy Blue. I thought Roger was going to keel over and die right at the spot. I said, my Lord, how could you possibly remember me after all these years? He said, I never forgot those blue eyes. And Roger was a believer finally.
Well, praise God for that, huh?
And he admitted to me, he thought, you know, you just said it because those people were around. You know, it's easy to say you know them.
Amen. It is. And, you know, I don't name drop here very often, but on this one, I'm just going to go off and do my burning desire, and that is that I went through a life-changing accident July 21st. I had already decided to do this concert, but it was that life-altering. I was rear-ended by a car, and it totaled my car and totaled me out, too. It put me in the hospital all these months. This is the first show that I've done with Judy Blue. This is the first show that I've done since July the 21st. I want to thank you guys for holding up the fort and waiting on me, because we have a lot of folks that love this show. And I'm grateful to every single one of you, but that's the reason why I'm doing this concert here, December 22nd, because you don't have to do anything to take yourself out. That could happen at any moment. So with it having happened to me, I now understand that we're really on borrowed time, big time. I'm hurting big time. I need some roadies. I've got some pretty decent equipment out here, and we need to move it. I need your help. So kindly call me and check in with me on the talk show. Aside from that, this has been Judy Blue. Fabulous interview, Judy Blue. And I wondered about Roger, whether or not he was going to come. But he doesn't say very much. He doesn't like to talk very much, does he?
No, he's.
But I love the guy. We talk converse all the time.
I invited, well, yeah, he'll talk to you, but he's really,
He's an introvert kind of.
I worry that he has a persona that he's Judy Blue's husband.
Yeah.
And I would
Like
watch
Mr.
out
Blue.
because this man has earned his,
Oh, absolutely,
his
yeah.
creds.
We
And
just said
so
that in jest.
he plays, once a month he plays for the Hoot, that's the Harmonica Organization of Texas. He donates his time and does a jam, and for all these people that, some of them are just learning harmonica, some of them are like Benny Hart that have been playing them forever.
Right.
And
Yeah.
he does that, and I don't go to that jam. Every once in a while he asks me to go because of some reason, and I'll go with him. I've done it twice, but I like him to have his own persona. That man has earned his own reputation. He's a solid in the pocket bass player, and
I would have to agree.
I'm very fortunate to have him for the Judy Blues band.
Well, aside from him being your husband.
Well, there's that too. Sometimes that's not as fortunate, you know.
Just sometimes, okay?
Yeah, but,
Anyway,
yeah.
Judy, you're going to take us out in just a short bit, but I have to say, thank you all for being so kind to us today. Go out and go do something good for somebody, because we're out to change the world one day at a time. And with that said,
One song at a time.
one song, one day at a time. So, do it, okay? So, Judy, do you have anything you want to hum on the way out while I go turn off the, the machine over there?
No, I'd just like to see everyone there on the 22nd.
Keep going, keep going.
It's a great thing to do.
Take us out, baby.
It's very fun for us in the music business. We always enjoy having people right there in our faces and liking what we're doing. We've got a great show planned. I'm sure the other bands do too. They're great bands.
Yay! I love you. Thank you, darling.